And it perpetuates this spiral of just craziness in your head. That it dawned on me at that point, because it's something that can be extremely toxic if you aren't aware of it. Hello, I'm Hayden Bloomfield, welcome to the channel. So in this video I wanted to go through the biggest mistake I've made in goal setting and how I've overcome it, and a lot around how I realised the issue, and hopefully what it does for you is, if you have the same sort of toxic relationship with goal setting, it'll help you have a bit of a realisation with it, an epiphany, and move towards more productive goal setting. So since I can remember, from like early childhood, I've always been very driven and liked goals and tick boxes, all sorts of things, from everything, like hobbies I did, clubs, sports, everything. Just no matter what I was doing, it was around setting goals and then having that little list of things to tick off. And I've been the same, and like started in business, and that's only that sort of infatuation with goal setting has only grown, and in some ways exacerbated, with business. And so I've always had this thing of setting unrealistic expectations for myself, but then that's not a problem because it gives you something high to strive for. However, the issue is then seeing anything below that goal as a complete failure. So to me, like, if I'd set, I don't know, in business, say I set a goal to turn over £20,000 in a month. If I set that goal of turning over £20,000 in 1 month, I could turn over £19,500 and it's complete failure. Whereas the reality is I'm so close to that goal. Even if I started at 5,000 a month and I wanted to get to 20,000, 4x, but even just at 19,500, that's complete failure to me. And so that was a very toxic relationship to have with goals. And even if I'd set them in an ignorant point or in naivety, I'd still have an attachment to that goal. So for like, if I was at £5,000 a month and I wanted to get to 20, but then as I started to go from 5 to 10 to 15, I started to see some barriers and realised that, oh, I needed to actually employ more team members to get to 20. Like, rather than realising, right, I need to reevaluate, reassess the goal and maybe push it back a bit because I've got these other barriers, I'd just be like, no, that's the goal, therefore I found. And that all came, I had this realisation when I started day trading. So I mentioned in another video, I day trade, but the reason I realised it was when I started day trading, I quickly just experimented with a small account, just like £1,000 in it, and was looking at what I could achieve and just was having a go, saw some of the things that could be achieved in terms of finances. So when I then sort of invested more heavily into it, I set myself goals. I set out a spreadsheet with a nice little financial target for each month, and then I set the target I wanted to get to 10 grand a month, and thought I could do that within 6 months, 7 months. And therefore, from that point, I then broke down what I'd want to do each month in order to achieve it, like how much profit I'd want to make, and was looking at what that I'd set my account to. I was looking at how many trades I wanted to target a month and what that average trade would need to be, which is fine. It's a guideline, it's a start, it's a big number to go for. And the problem is, as I said, is that I would just attach myself to that goal, and anything below it is failure. So come December, if I achieved 9,000, it'd be failure. And it's like, are you crazy? You've just profited 9 grand in 1 month. How many people do that? So that's why I wanted to look at this and sort of share with you. And hopefully, if you do, like, do you have that same relationship with goal setting? Like, hit the like button, subscribe if you do, because you'll get more great content. But it dawned on me at that point, because as I started trading more, I just realised, I was like, hang on, I don't have any data or reference points. Like, I've set this goal of £10,000, but I've got nothing to go on. Literally, the only thing I knew of was my mate who I do it with. He was like, oh, this guy said Monopoly went from like 10 grand to 250 grand, £250,000 within 6 months. I was like, oh, right, well, that's not even that. But like, in my head, that's fine. So I wanted in 6 months to go from like the same sort of starting point to 10 grand profit. So what, you're taking your account to 100 grand or something. So in my head, it still seemed to work. That's the only the only data point, sorry, and the reference I could make. But then it was as I started trading, and so obviously I'd set these monthly goals of like profit £1,000 here, profit 2.5 here, profit 4 grand here, and I just wasn't getting close to those targets. And I was assessing my mistakes, looking at where I could make improvements. Why was I not achieving that goal? But I just wasn't getting towards it, and I was actually hitting some good numbers, but it just wasn't my target. And so I was feeling quite down about it and beat up and sort of seeing myself as a failure in trading, when reality is it's something I've been doing on the side with my spare time, not putting too much effort into it as such, getting a lot of frustrations and stress, but still. And it was like one of my mates said to me, I was talking to him about it, and the sort of money I'd done, like £1,000 a month here, 700 here, and it was going up each month, but he just sort of said to me, like, "Are you ridiculous? That's like someone's part-time wage there that you've managed to do in your spare time." I thought, no, actually, that's a good point, and I'm not focusing on the positive that I've managed to actually profit this quickly and maintain that profit. I mean, we're only talking for 2 or 3 months here, but I've actually stabilised some profit there and managed to keep it going that way. And yet, instead, I was focusing on the fact that I'd set this unattainable goal realistically, because it's a new industry, I'm not familiar with it, I've got business knowledge but not trading knowledge. And so that's where I had the realisation this was quite a toxic relationship with goal setting, and that now I've had that realisation, and that's what the big mistake was, is setting those goals without data points. And so my goals now, I've still got them there as a reference point, so like this is what I set initially, but they're poor quality goals, they're not very great, and they need rejigging. But then I've got them there just as a point to see where I was aspiring to be at, and then I'm putting all my real data in. But then what it means is for next year, like I said in the other video about hitting 5 to 10 grand a month by March, but then what it means for next year is, come January, I'll have 6 months of data where I can say, right, here's what I've done over the last 6 months, here's what I've grown my account to, here's the money I've put in over time and everything, here's the money I've taken out. Now with that, I've got 6 months of data, 6 months of knowing how many trades I averaged, what the most profitable trade is, how that's increased or decreased over time. So then I can make more accurate and appropriate goals that I can set. And on the one hand, this could be worse because now I've got more data. I set the goals that seem attainable and realistic and say, yep, I want to make steady progression here. I've made 10 grand, so I want to do 12 grand. Well, I've managed to do X percentage per month of growth, so I'm going to maintain that all the way through. And I could miss it and slip, but I think in having this realization, I've come to appreciate, and trying to express gratitude more, I've come to appreciate that what I am achieving. So for example, if I get to 10 grand a month and I say, right, next month I want to do, based on the stats that I've got, I'm going to do 11.5, and then I'm going to do 12.5, and then I'm going to do 14, and then I'm going to do 15, and then I'm going to do 18. Like if I set those goals and I miss them, yes, I've failed because I've not met that goal. However, the realization that I'm still profiting, or I have a side hustle that I now put more energy in, but it's profiting me like 12 grand a month, 10 grand a month, 12 grand a month, then what's the issue? I'm doing, even if it's 5 grand a month, I'm still doing incredibly well from that. And relevant to like the financial situation I've been in all my life, that's more money than I could comprehend to net that kind of profit. So that's how my relationship has changed, and that's something that I hope it's helpful for you, because it's something that can be extremely toxic if you aren't aware of it. And it has been for me for a long time, and it took me like the best bit of more than 20 years of, or 15, 20 years of setting goals before I realised that, because I have been quite harsh on myself in the past in terms of having a goal, not achieving it, and therefore considering myself a failure because I didn't do it. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't achieve 10,000, but you still made 8,000. But to me, it's like, no, I'm 2,000 away from my profit. And now that I'm 2,000 away, it means that I'm going to be even harder to achieve this goal that I had for next month. And it perpetuates this spiral of just craziness in your head that can't really work, and it isn't sustainable. And it's bringing yourself back to reality, appreciating, and as well having a standpoint to just overall perspective in life. So yes, you're setting these goals for a reason. You're targeting them to make vast improvements in your life. However, I think as well is just having that ability to step back, look at the bigger picture, and just say, look, as a human being, I'm in the top 10% in terms of the luck I have with the lifestyle I have. I can have access to food and water, and I have good relationships and good people around me. So I've got very little to concern myself with. How many people right now would wish to be in my situation where they are worrying about not making 12 grand profit in 1 month? So having that gratitude, and that's something that practicing gratitude daily or regularly can really help with. But hopefully it's been helpful for you, and hopefully it's definitely been an eye-opener for me in reevaluating my way around goals. So like now with goals, I'm not so focused on setting them straight away, although if I do, they are purely speculative. It's just a case of right off the cusp, based on the information I have, this is ridiculous. Like as I said, in trading, it's a few months in, and yeah, for a lot of businesses and activities, you won't actually make, even with trading, you won't make money for your first couple of years. So that's something to look at there. And just setting these goals purely speculatively, as I said, and just use them as a guideline and change them, alter them as you go. But you can keep hold of them as I have. I've kept hold of those original goals here, but I've looked at and I've not even set different goals. It's just a case of I'm collecting data. Purely I'm seeing this as a data collecting point. If I lose money, win money, whatever it is, it's data collection. Hopefully I don't lose, but I'm collecting that data in order so that in 6 months' time I can then set more realistic goals. And it is still healthy to have goals. Like, don't get me wrong, I think having goals are a great idea, but having good quality goals is the idea. So having data points and have a SMART goal. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's relevant, and it's time-based. So while these are time-based, they are specific. There's a very specific number there, and it's measurable to see yes or no, did I achieve it? But is it attainable? It's relevant, yes, and it's time-based, but is it actually attainable? And that's where I went wrong there. It's not SMART because it's SMART. As Homer Simpson would say, SMRT. And that's the key there. So make sure they're SMART goals. See them as a guideline. Don't beat yourself up if you miss them. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, drop a comment. Is there something I missed though? I feel like there's definitely stuff I'm missing on goal setting. I mean, you could have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to goal setting and how to do it better, but is there any key points I've missed today? Let me know in the comments below. Goodbye.